All right, and welcome to Fastbreak Breakfast NBA podcast. My name is Keith Parrish, and I'm here once again with my buddy through the miracle of computer phone, here with Dave DeFore. Dave, how are you doing?
I'm good. We just were talking about all the sun I got.
You got a little bit of sun. You spent a weekend outside. What's that like? I don't do that very much.
Well, I will tell you, man, having Synergy really does help me find work-life balance during the playoffs.
You mean the Synergy basketball database?
Yeah. Being able to watch the playoff games after the fact.
Oh, I gotcha.
Yeah.
Well,
so I can enjoy the daylight.
Oh, so you're not sitting down for the quadruple headers on Saturday, Sunday.
I didn't on Saturday, and so on Sunday I caught basically starting in the second half of game 2, right? And then I caught up on the first game, like during downtime of the other ones.
I don't know who to complain to, and I know a lot of it is based on time zones of where the teams are actually playing, but I didn't like how it felt like they kind of front-loaded Sunday, where it was the incredible games were in the afternoon.
HBO doesn't even have a good show on or anything. Like there's nothing that you're.
Am I supposed
not
to start
competing.
watching The Sympathizer? Yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
I wonder if it's a way just to sneak in a little bit of extra time for these teams. Because remember, after the Sunday game they had to travel. Yeah. So trying to figure that out, I guess. I don't know.
I also was so confused because you had the Cavs and Magic play early on Saturday, and I'm spending my entire Monday thinking they're about to play tonight because they played early on Saturday.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, they're not playing till Tuesday? Are they hitchhiking back and forth?
That's the series we all forgot about.
It honestly is. No, but the Sunday games you had, Knicks Sixers, just ridiculousness. Just that. It's a
that series and the Nuggets Lakers series are like two of the closest 3-1s, that we had. Of course, the Lakers are not done.
They're so close. Of course, the Lakers led for 70% of that series that they lost in 5 games. The 76ers are always ahead, but that game on Sunday, I was just going to say it was the mud, the blood, and the beer. It was just whatever, your alley brawl. No one can shoot. No one can make shots. Every 76er looks like they've never been more tired in their whole lives. The Knicks are like, Tibbs plays me he plays me 45 minutes in a regular season game. I'm cool. But that was so early. And then we had the Clippers getting up to the huge lead on that very, very close series between the Mavericks and the Clips. And then so by the time Pacers Bucks rolled around, and I'm eating dinner, and I find out Bobby Portis has been ejected before I even tune into the game. 2
minutes into the game, man. Yeah.
So I don't know. This goes back to the scheduling thing, where, I don't know. I got a few questions. Before we get there, though, let's knock out our breakfast. I know you're not much of a breakfast man. I'll ask you an etiquette question, though, about breakfast, Dave.
Okay.
This is etiquette for standing in line at the donut store.
Okay.
Have you ever stood behind someone for so long while they ordered that you were shocked they didn't pay for your order?
No. I've stood behind people for a long time in the donut shop.
Yeah.
But it's always like, I don't know, we're on vacation. Here's my order. You know what I mean? Which is okay. I feel bad for that person,
So
but I've never, no.
So you're describing what I would consider to be like a pretty run-of-the-mill inconvenience.
Yeah. Not a big
here's
deal.
an online. My wife or my husband wants this. They've texted me, and no, I got to get that. Oh, I got to get 2 more. Let me get one of those. What's your most popular flavor?
Oh, let me call and see. Yeah. Literally, that's how it went.
There's like a few minute leeway where I'm like, that's fine. But also, what happened to me a couple of days ago? There's 2 people in this donut store, me and this other person. The other person is ordering somewhere around 70 donuts.
Oh, okay. This is not that person's fault, though.
Well, I consider 2 things should have happened.
Okay.
One, she should have said, hey, are you ordering a lot of donuts? Just go ahead. I'm making a huge order. Like, for me, that would have been a pretty basic, normal thing. Like, once she started warming up, where she was like, I want 4 of those and 4 of those. And then the employee normally goes, hey, how many donuts do you think you're going to get? Because they want to know how to box them. And then she says something like, I didn't hear what she said, but all of a sudden the boxes start getting out.
A billion.
And then it just keeps going. And I'm no joke. It was somewhere around like 15 minutes of ordering. And I'm sitting there like, I'm stunned. First of all, she hasn't at any moment been like, because there's still me and her, only people in the store. I'm stunned. She hasn't been like, hey, do you want to go ahead? Are you getting just a couple donuts? Then when she's
the
done,
grocery store etiquette not carrying over to the donut shop.
Because it's the self-checkout with like 2 items and then there's 100 items. Like, hey, why don't you go ahead?
I've got a thing of eggs. Let me get through.
But then I was like, all right, she's ordering for a company. So I gather this. They're having a company. They're doing a thing. And at this point, I'm like, well, at least she's going to be like, hey, let me get your donuts. I'm sorry about the wait. No. She did apologize.
Company credit card? When she finally didn't buy you donuts?
Yeah, when she finally checked out, she's like, I'm sorry about that. I said, yeah. Like I didn't say okay. I was like, yeah, that was exciting, but it felt excessive. It's not a clear-cut etiquette program. I was still very surprised. I honestly, I never thought about it before, I guess. But when I hit that moment, I found myself shocked. The person wasn't like, hey, can let me get yours. I'm sorry about that.
The sense of entitlement there, Keith. I don't know. I look, again, the employee made the mistake. You got to have the awareness. You got to situational awareness matters.
So that's
you got to say,
that's
hey,
a third option.
Why don't I take care of Keith real quick and then I'll finish this up because it's going to take 2 seconds.
Yeah, I think that's only a third option I hadn't thought about. There was only, so this is the funny thing. There was basically one person out front working. When they finally moved this person to checkout, someone emerged from the back and was like, hey, what do you want? And I'm like, I want 2 donuts. And then and it was like a 5-second transaction. And I walk out behind the person who's still like trying to pay. And she apologized again. I was just like, yeah, all right.
My donut shop doesn't allow dogs inside, so I make my dog park out front and wait.
That's pretty typical, Dave.
If I take too long, he whines because he loves donuts, but he doesn't move. He sits still. Yeah.
You're a big dog guy. How do you approach the world that is pretty firmly like dogs should not be in restaurants? Like that's not a controversial take. You've accepted like that's a thing. Like I shouldn't.
Yeah. I take advantage of the places where I'm able to take them. I have a really good dog. I'm very lucky. Yeah. And I'm also not overbearing, but I am OCD and I am on top of my dog at all times. Like I know what he's doing. I'm not one of these guys who's gonna be like, oh no, it's fine. He can totally sniff your French fries. I'm sorry. My dog has home training. But I don't know any dog owners that get upset when they can't bring their dog somewhere. I've seen people get upset, but nobody I know, no normal people, no regular people are gonna get mad about it because people have dog allergies. Dogs are not they're not gross, but they're not clean.
They're not clean. I think it's fair to call them gross.
Yeah, but especially outside, right? Like, I clean my dog when he comes inside, we got a whole thing. So it doesn't bother me. But I happen to live in a place that's extremely dog friendly. My dog has a drinking problem, I think, because every time we go on a walk, he's trying to drag me into a couple of bars. And he really has a French fry problem.
Well, that's the socialization too. Probably a lot of good attention.
He's got friends, like human friends that he gets excited to see. So yeah.
So maybe it's just that there's a lot of where I live. There's a lot of restaurants and things they get a lot of walk up traffic where people are walking into places, and I keep seeing more and more dog owners walk in, and this makes the employees be like, "Sir, I'm sorry, your dog can't be in our restaurant," and they're like, "Oh."
Oh, wait a second, though.
Their face surprise is always like, no, what did you can't bring your dog inside where the food is.
You have a lot of transplants now, though.
Maybe it's just transplants.
In Nashville. It's new people. See, all right. So, being from the South, like, your dog's not going to a restaurant.
Yeah.
It's just not coming in. I'm sorry. But I live in California. Dogs in everything. Dogs in the movie theater. Yeah. Dogs at, the bars here, obviously, but most stores, you take your dog. So all those transplants that moved out to Nashville, they're invading Nashville with their dogs.
Yeah, that might explain it. Anyways, Dave, my breakfast.
Yes.
I had some chicken tacos. Those leftovers. A little grilled chicken, heated up with some, like a Mexican cheese blend, a little bit of hot sauce on there. Very
What kind of hot
Spartan,
sauce?
very plain.
What kind of hot
Not much.
sauce?
I actually used Frank's buffalo sauce.
Ooh.
So I was out of my normal Louisiana hot sauce. I didn't feel like going for the straight salsa. I mean, we've got some like, store-made salsa. I was like, just throw some hot sauce on there. Like
I
a
like
buffalo
Cholula
chicken taco.
on a taco
Cholula's
or a
great.
burrito.
Yeah.
Frank's, I like to do, sometimes I'll do like a buffalo chicken thing, and I'll do the Frank's with that because that's what I use for my buffalo sauce.
What's your first meal plan of the day, Dave?
Oh, I had breakfast.
What'd you have?
A couple of eggs, fried and on some good nutritious like seed and nut toast.
Perfect.
Yeah, perfect. Like,
Eggs on
250
toast.
calories. Oh yeah, and I like to grab as much salad as I can and put it on anything like that. So like, like a mixed green sort of situation.
Yeah.
Throw it on anything, right? Works out
Sounds
well.
like an amazing breakfast for
and
you.
homemade cold brew.
There
Dave
you
brew.
go. Well, on today's show, we're going to hit, of course, the playoff series that have been going on. We'll say farewell to several teams. Also, I'm going to award the least clutch player of the year award. So that's something to look forward to. But, of course, before we do, we've done our breakfast now. After our breakfast, we'll move into our breakfast in bed. Apologies. This is my chance to make right what I got wrong on a previous episode. And this ties back into what I wanted to say, the world's longest non-direct segue, talking about NBA scheduling quirks, not just like which teams play first on an NBA quadruple header day. Last episode, we were talking about the dead days, where there was no games on certain days. They had, of course, the play-in was on Friday night. You can't create the content before the playoffs start the next Saturday morning, essentially. And I said, because of scheduling quirks of like the end of the season and then the NCAA men's championship game, I said there was 3 days with no games in about a 10-day span. Well, not completely accurate, or at least not the most powerful way I could have said that, because there were actually 4 days with no NBA games over the first 2 weeks of April. So we had, of course, the Monday night of the men's championship game. We had the Saturday before the last regular season games because they wanted every team to play on the final day of the regular season, which is cool and fine, but they also decided we don't want to have anyone playing the second day of a back-to-back. I don't feel passionately about that. I just feel like, who cares? Let's just have games every day. Then, of course, the third day was the day after the season. That's fine. National Content Day. Everyone gives a chance to breathe. Then, of course, there's no games the Thursday of the play-in tournament week. Again, that, I don't know. Can you fix that? Can it be better? And now, Dave, we're actually staring down possibly no games on Thursday if some teams take care of business on Tuesday night. But anyways, I said 3 days of no games in 10 days. More powerfully, let's call that 4 days of no NBA games over 11 actual real-life days. And I was disturbed by that. And also, I missed the NBA when it's not on. So for that,
it is
I
weird
apologize.
when there are no games. Like, it's going to be weird to have no games Thursday night.
It's also weird when, are you calling it now? The Sixers take care of business against the
Knicks?
The Knicks?
Oh, yeah. I think the Knicks...
Oh, excuse me. The Knicks take care of it. Let me say that correctly. The Knicks take care of business against the Sixers. Yeah. You think the Knicks are going to wrap it up? I
think so.
I'm less confident, but anyways,
have we ever talked about my actual, like, my rooting interests that don't, like, I don't have rooting interests. I don't root for outcomes necessarily, but as soon as a team in the first round gets a lead, I just want them to go ahead and get it over with.
You just want it to be over?
Get me to the next round. I've been trying to get to Nuggets Wolves since the seeding was set.
I mean, we got there. I don't know if I feel necessarily that way just because I do appreciate a good drama. There are some series where I'm like,
if these were best 3 out of 5, if they were best 3 out of 5 or best 2 out of 3, they would be more compelling. But as they are, I mean, it's except for the 4-5, it's basically chalk. And then Pacers Bucks is this weird situation with the injury.
Pacers Bucks is weird. I still don't know if what's going to happen in that series, even with the Bucks having no players. I've been so underwhelmed by the Pacers.
Confidence in the Pacers, right? Yeah. Like, there is something there. Like, Halliburton, he can at times look like the best player on the court, and then like he doesn't want to touch the basketball, doesn't want to shoot. I mean, it's just very weird. Whatever's up with his hamstring clearly now affecting his back.
So
I'm with you.
Let's
but Miles
look,
Turner, though, like, he's a star.
Miles Turner, unbelievable game
Crazy.
for. So, anyways, let's actually get into that series. It's maybe it's one of the least sexy matchups we have right now. But I'll leave the apology in the rearview mirror.
Yeah,
we'll move on to these series. Pacers Bucks. I don't think we're going to talk long about this series because of just the injuries have made it strange. Before this series, Dave, you and I both predicted the Pacers to win in 6 games. The Pacers winning this series in 6 games looks very likely that it's going to be the outcome. Despite having picked that, I feel I was totally wrong about this series. I feel like the Pacers have been a mess. Yes. I feel like they wouldn't beat any other team that's playing basketball right now. Like, they look horrible. However, the Bucks have no players. Like, I mean, I thought...
Poor Chris Middleton.
I mean, shout out Chris Middleton. That performance on Sunday, I don't know if you were walking your dog or what during that. You saw that. That was outrageous. I brought my son downstairs to watch this, with the basement viewing set up. And, cause I'm like, hey, it's a tied game with 30 seconds left. Come watch this. And then Middleton hits this shot and I'm letting out these yelps. And like, by the way, Lillard almost blew the game. We know Lillard was hurt and he was struggling. He was gutting it out, trying to perform, but like he goes into foul grifting, misses a shot, turns it over. And then he draws a charge where like, he didn't need to try to draw the charge. It was obviously a block. Doc Rivers uses his last challenging this obvious blocking foul. So I'm like, my first thought was like, Damian Lillard blew this game by doing ref roulette and not just playing basketball. But then Chris Middleton saves him with all these heroics. It isn't enough. Middleton hits multiple 3-pointers to tie the games at the end of regulation, at the end of overtime.
Listen, man.
Yeah.
How many times are the Pacers not going to foul up 3?
Brooke Lopez
I appreciate Rick Carlisle. Look, we've talked about this a little bit. There is a certain point where the whole fouling up 3 thing is like, it was sort of like the take foul. It's like, man, you're taking away something cool from the audience, right? Like the take foul, you're taking away a bunch of dunks, a lot of fast break, at least plays, right? Like go make a play on the ball at the basket. I just want to see that. And fouling up 3, you take away these game-winning attempts or these game-tying attempts. I respect Rick Carlisle for wanting us to get the drama. Thank you, Rick. He's a company man. Trying to win a basketball game, man. Like, that's your job, bro.
Brooke Lopez, it seemed like he was teasing the Pacers because he wasn't even facing the basket. He's like showing him his whole back. I was like, hey, you want to foul me? Do you want to foul me? No? Okay. I'm going to hand this to Chris Middleton. Chris Middleton gathers the ball. He's not looking at the rim. You could have fouled him there. But anyway, he like double clutches.
Damian Lillard in the overtime. Damian Lillard out there dribbling on 1 foot.
Yeah.
And he's out like 30 feet from the basket. He can't get his shot up. 2 seconds later, and they don't foul. And Chris Middleton hits that banker. I mean, I don't know. That's crazy. But Middleton, man.
I mean, Chris Middleton's playing great. So I thought the Pacers would win because I thought the Bucks defense was going to be terrible. The Pacers could attack them in transition. No one was going to stay in front of Tyrese Halliburton. And like that happened in game 4, but it's only because the Bucks had no players. If Damian Lillard was healthy, I don't think the Pacers win that game. If Chris Middleton's fine, if Bobby Portis is out there, I think the Bucks would have won this. So I feel like I got the prediction wrong. What?
If Bobby Portis had been out there,
maybe I've been so underwhelmed. I mean, I know Miles Turner was absolutely awesome. Pascal Siakam has been great, but I don't trust Halliburton. I don't trust Neesmith's shooting. I mean, Nembhard's playing tough.
Nembhard is awesome.
Grabbing every rebound. Like they're winning this on hustle plays, second chance scoring. That is not what I thought would do it for the Pacers. So I feel like I got the prediction wrong, even if it turns out right. But
I feel that.
Enough of that Pacers Bucks series that is maybe the least exciting one. Let's talk about the Suns and the T-Wolves. This is a series I got totally wrong in every fashion. Where I was nervous for my sweetheart Timberwolves team. I thought they would struggle when the games were close. I picked the Suns to emerge in 7 games, and no, the Timberwolves bullied the Suns, dominated the Suns. Maybe the thing I got the most incorrect about this series was I thought the Suns would have the 2 best players in this series. Very, very, very wrong. Anthony Edwards was by far the best player in this series. Kudos to him. I was blown away by the Timberwolves. Dave, what are your thoughts on what the Timberwolves did to the Phoenix Suns?
I had no respect for the Phoenix Suns starting this time last year.
Yeah.
I mean, this is just, they were never a really good basketball team. And Keith, you and I talked about this. So much buzz for a bunch of guys who've been cut.
Yeah.
2-way, played in the G League, coming in on minimum deals because it's Bradley Beal you're playing with. This is, I mean, look, it's Devin Booker, who's great, Kevin Durant, all-timer, and Bradley Beal.
I mean,
they were never going to be good enough. And the Timberwolves, man, they've been, one of the best 2 or 3 teams in the league all season long. Anthony Edwards has gotten better as the year has gone on, and he was already good. The defense for them with Anthony Edwards and Jaden McDaniels and Rudy Gobert is just lights out, and it's a playoff ready defense. I mean, that's what we're seeing because, like, I think people there's the Gobert thing, and you have him going up against a bunch of guys who just crush in the mid range with Booker and Durant. Seems like a recipe for at least struggle, maybe not like for disaster, but Gobert has never played playoff basketball with a team that's expected to win like he was in Utah with this sort of defense around him. I mean, these guys, they do half the job for him. All he has to do is the stuff he's elite at. And now all of a sudden, okay, you can't score around the basket. They weren't really generating open looks from 3. They lost Grayson Allen, who was their one guy who would move without the basketball and could shoot. And then they have no defense whatsoever. Nurkic in the playoffs, man, like, I'm sorry, but we've seen this before. It was never going to work. So I believe I picked Wolves in 5.
Yeah.
I wasn't shocked.
I don't remember your exact prediction. You were confident in the Wolves. I was right about the Suns all year until it came time to pick this series. And then I got scared of the big names. I got scared of the Timberwolves' half-court offense and their struggles to score in close games. But didn't matter at all. Like you said, like the defense, they punked the Suns. It was every single game in the third quarter was just, if you're a Timberwolves fan, it was pure ecstasy. If you're a Suns fan, it was a house of horrors. It was every single third quarter, the Timberwolves were like, no, we're going to end you right now.
They broke up the team.
There's nothing you can do about it.
Listen, man, Kevin Durant's going to probably be playing somewhere else next year. Maybe Devin Booker, if he can push his way out. And Bradley Beal is going to be the only guy left in Phoenix, basically playing for Wizards West.
Also, like the storyline, the narrative of like Anthony Edwards taking over and the torch being passed. We have a lot of the all-time greats sitting at home right now. KD done, AD, LeBron, Steph, basically half of Team USA.
We throwing AD in there?
He's a Hall of Famer. He's been a first team All NBA level guy for almost a decade.
But all right, Steph, KD, and LeBron is like a different.
Okay,
all right,
fine.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
And your book of basketball really pyramid, they're different.
At home. They're at home.
But
the
torch passing of Anthony Edwards, who in that first game, lights up KD in the third quarter, just trash talking him, grinning ear to ear, making every conceivable shot. And then he did it every game. And then it culminates in this poster dunk where like he just totally shakes Bradley Beal. Devin Booker, who's guarding his man correctly, looks down like to see who's rotated over to help. Kevin Durant was in position. Kevin Durant rotated over to help. Kevin Durant is 7 feet tall. Kevin Durant ran for the hills. He's like, I am getting out of here. I didn't sign up for contesting dunks at the rim. Would it have mattered? No. Kevin Durant might have broken his wrist, when Anthony Edwards dunked on him. But Kevin Durant made a business decision the same way Kevin Durant refuses to shoot heaves in playoff games. He's made a business decision his entire career in playoffs of not launching it. We had a game where Obi Toppin took a 70-footer. You know why?
Yeah.
Obi Toppin wants to win. He's trying to win. Kevin Durant is handpicking his teams where he's going to go play basketball, and he's still worried about his field goal percentage. You had Eric Gordon. I can't remember if it was game 2 or game 3. Eric Gordon dribbled out the clock at the end of a first quarter instead of trying. Like, you had 3 seconds left. You could go the entire court in 3 seconds. Like, it's a team of mercenaries.
These guys are insane, man.
They did not have heart, and Kevin Durant just like getting smoked by Anthony Edwards.
And Frank Vogel.
Poor Frank Vogel, who's
didn't
getting
have
fired.
the personality to handle that, man.
So, all right, let's talk about a few things about this possible breakup of the team. First of all,
is Frank Vogel's officially in the transfer portal, right? Like we're at this stage, right?
So they're going to fire Frank Vogel because that's just what teams do.
Yeah.
Like the Lakers are going to fire.
And a 4-year, $31 million contract, by the way.
Darvin Ham.
Good for him.
I mean, good for these coaches. Like they're all getting paid. None of them are getting
getting
screwed.
paid to not work is the American dream.
What?
The real one.
What if we introduced? I think we should save some of these owners from themselves with these coach hirings and firings. What if we had a Stepien rule for firing coaches? What if you can only have an average? Let's say you can have a max. What's the right ratio? You can only have 4 coaches over any 5-year span. Because like if you fire a guy mid-season, then you bring an interim, does that count? But like you should not have 4 coaches over 5 years. Bring in a guy, fire him like 1 year. No.
I actually think so. And we talked about this. If teams are going to fire their coach,
yeah,
they should have a portal and put his name out there, essentially. Like put him on waivers.
Oh, put him on waivers.
Right. And so have teams then. Okay. So let's say Frank Vogel. Hey, we're putting you on waivers. Charlotte Hornets here. We could use an adult who has an NBA championship.
Yeah.
Oh, he's got 3 years and, however, 26 million left. Cool. We'll send you this second rounder and I don't know, Trey Mann.
I don't even think. No. If you cut Frank Vogel, I think the Hornets could just pick him up, just claim him.
Yeah, but then you got to see.
No
then you
compensation.
Do the whole contract renegotiation.
I think first of all, you should say trade deadline for coaches. Hey.
Oh.
Do you like Hornets? Do you want to send us a protected 2nd-round pick for Frank Vogel's rights? They're like, nah, because you're going to cut him. I'm just going to claim him.
Yeah.
Listen, if Darvin Ham gets let go, I wouldn't mind the Grizzlies bringing him in on a 10-day.
I'm
not saying to replace Taylor Jenkins, just to help out. I think Darvin Ham's a great basketball mind. I don't have big issues with Darvin Ham.
Because if Frank Vogel is let go, if Darvin Ham's let go, and they still have time on their contract, these are guaranteed contracts. If they go take an assistant position with another team, they still are paid out the head coach money.
Yeah.
So you just can't do a lateral move. Now you could go, maybe be a head coach like in college basketball. That would be pretty interesting if you wanted to just be a head coach. But I don't know. We got to figure something out. Because I will say this: the firing the coach thing is just this. It's such a boring way to do it. And I'm not saying that it isn't warranted a lot because the coach is more of a manager. It's like you're the CEO. You're the manager of the store. Your job is really like running the team. And if you do a poor job of it, it's fine. A lot of people like to say, oh, look at his rotations. Rotation's not getting a lot of coaches fired.
Yeah.
It's other stuff. But how much of that is just personality? This guy runs, this player runs everything, and I've got to come as a new coach and try to work with that. I don't know, man. Frank Vogel never had a chance.
I know Lakers fans are frustrated, and I know they're frustrated with Darvin Ham, and they feel like Austin Reeves didn't play enough. There's a pretty ugly looking clip where it seems like Austin Reeves is lobbying to get himself put back in the game in the fourth quarter of their latest close loss. Like that looks bad, and maybe you could have played Austin Reeves more, but also like the Lakers were ahead for 70% of the series against the defending champs. I don't.
Darvin Ham didn't go out there and,
Darvin Ham didn't D'Angelo Russell up the thing. I mean, Darvin Ham doesn't get Anthony Davis to work out harder so he has better stamina for the end of games. I mean, I don't know. I don't think changing coaches affects the outcomes. Like, you can have a total misstep. Maybe Adrian Griffin was totally the wrong guy, but this whole Kevin Durant and LeBron James changing their coaches out every 2 years, it has no effect on anything.
I mean, hang on. Look at the Boston Celtics.
Yeah.
The Boston Celtics in the last few, the Tatum and Jaylen Brown run, they're now on coach number 3. Same offense, same issues down the stretch and by the way, this is a great team that has very few issues, but same issues down the stretch where they kind of go away from their offense, get tight. Players play, and the coaches try to get them to play together. That's really how it is. And the best coaches get these guys to play together more often than not. It really is not that, it's not that complicated of a job, as complicated as it is. It's not that complicated of a job. And so the coach takes the blame, players get the credit. And that's how it works. And that's what the money is for. But it is not a good way to do business. This is why the most successful teams keep their people around. Michael Malone could have been fired 3 years ago.
Yeah, easily. Michael Malone had Nurkic starting over Jokic. I mean,
yeah.
But I feel like there is something to be said in the NBA for consistency, for stability of having the same teammates. It's hard to build a big 3 and recycle in all your randomness, Sear Littles and Keita Bates Jops around them. You gotta, there's something to be said for consistency of teammates getting to know each other, having the same teammates for a while. Also with coaching, I feel like maybe year over year, I understand maybe you get tired of the voice of your coach after 5 years, but after 3 years, I think there's maybe you get 10% better each year that your coach is there. And then you're like, well, let's hire a guy that's a 10% better coach. It's a wash to me. You're starting over at ground zero, maybe for chemistry issues. I don't know. Dave, this
is where Oklahoma City having a young coach in the wings to come up with a young team. I mean, it's very similar to what Denver did with Michael Malone, right? And you say, hey, we believe in this coach, we believe in our organization, our program, and we're going to foster an environment that not only allows this coach to grow as a coach, but allows him to grow with these players at the same time. Michael Malone, every single year, this team got better. Every single year. But imagine if 3 years ago when we were talking about, oh man, they should have won this playoff series. People were hurt. But it's happened to other coaches where they've just fired the guy. And maybe Denver being cheap has actually kind of worked in their favor here, where accidentally they've kind of stumbled into having a great coach. But I mean, the Warriors, Steve Kerr's been around for a long time. There's a reason why they've won so much. They have a great player. They have a great system. Great organization. Same with Spoelstra. I don't know, the constant recycling. And look, when you have a player like LeBron, for instance, coach doesn't matter all that much. He's not going to get a chance to coach.
That's what I was about to say when you mentioned Mike Malone. Mike Malone seems to be a very good coach. He was doing a pretty good job, it seemed like, in Sacramento before they weirdly fired him. But let's be real. The Nuggets are not about Mike Malone. It's about Nikola Jokic. Like a team that has Nikola Jokic, you're just, sorry, you're going to win and you're going to get better every year. That's why it's weird to me that LeBron James is not the same. LeBron James is let's trade a coach every year. And that's why it's weird to me, Kevin Durant, who doesn't deserve to be mentioned in the same breath as Jokic and LeBron. But
at a certain point, we have to just accept that there are a lot of guys in the NBA who aren't coachable.
Yeah.
And just say it. And it's not even necessarily a negative unless you believe coaching matters, which in the NBA, it's hit or miss. So I mean, it's easy to say KD's not coachable. His game has been the same his whole career, especially the second half of his career. LeBron, obviously not coachable, has gotten how many coaches fired? You know what I mean? I feel
like LeBron's not coachableness is just,
it's different. He doesn't
it's
need
different
a coach.
because he's so good. Like you see him in the game 5, LeBron was amazing and he knew what to do and he knew how to attack. And maybe GM LeBron, that's where you get in trouble. Clutch GM, not the best.
Yeah, but no argument for me. But LeBron doesn't actually need a coach in that sense. Yeah. Everyone else does though, and that's where I don't know, man. I just think the whole thing is funny. firing the coach is just, to me, especially on a short, like very short term.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, I think the Bucks firing Adrian Griffin was the right move because the hire was wrong.
But
You pull the cord
Is
early.
it going to make a difference?
Well, this season, no. Now, was Doc the right move? I don't think so.
Exactly, because so often when they just fire coaches, it's like, well, now what? Like, let's get somebody off the treadmill of coaches.
How often do teams actually upgrade? And I do think Doc is an upgrade on Adrian Griffin, big time. Like Frank Vogel was an upgrade.
Yeah.
What was Darvin Ham an upgrade? I don't think so. You know what I mean?
It's hard to say. It's just hard. That's the whole thing about coaching, which is just nebulous, and it's so results based when we assess.
Taylor Jenkins, man. So Taylor Jenkins last year, Taylor Jenkins was on top of the world, and this year
he's like the fourth longest tenured coach in the NBA. And again, you don't know how much. It's weird when you praise stability of coaches because you could say, well, that's because the organization is not going to pay two coaches at the same time,
right?
So like we have Taylor Jenkins. Let's move to the players of the Suns. You said like maybe the team's getting broken up. The thing I was correct about on the Suns, one of the things I was correct about all year was like they made the most all-in moves ever for a very, very small title window. And they did it specifically. They did the Bradley Beal trade where that didn't even raise them into the inner circle of title contenders. They were never there. I mean, betting wise, they were like, I think they're the third best title wise before the season started. I didn't believe it. I'm like, this team's not better than the Bucks or the Celtics or the Nuggets. They're not close. That was my opinion before the season. And
how much of that is gambling folks just saying, nobody's seen Bradley Beal play basketball?
No, it's total gambling folks just, leveling out the money. But like this team sacrificed basically everything. They have the 22nd pick in this year's draft. And then for the next, 7 years, they don't control any of their picks. And even the picks they have in 26, 28, and 30, they get the worst of 4 different teams on some of those years where it's like the odds of that pick being in the top 20, really, really kind of low because it's going to be the worst. The worst pick of like, whatever it is, Magic, Wizards, Grizzlies, Suns, like they get the worst one. So like their assets totally depleted. And they made these moves. My analysis of it was they went all in for basically a 2-year window. Now, this was just year 1 of that 2-year window. Do you think most people are saying they should get out of the window? They should consider flipping Durant for something. Just bring in picks, restock the picks because you got Devin Booker. He's amazing. Stick with him, build around him. Part of me thinks, is this like Prokhorov pulling the plug too early? Like, listen, you went all in for a 2-year run. If you lose in the first year, well, like you went all in. Why are you not going to try to win a title again next year? So like, I feel like I've just come around to, I think they should probably just run it back.
Double down on it.
No, I'm not saying there's nothing to double down. You're the guy at the poker table who's already put the deed to his house.
They re-signed Grayson Allen.
He's like, I don't have, like, there's nothing else I can put in the middle. I've already gone all in. Well, now I'm going to walk away. I don't know. Like, I don't know if that's the right thing.
Traded Aiden for Nurkic.
Well, that was the funniest thing. Like, they went all in for this 2-year window and they hated DeAndre Ayton so much that they helped Damian Lillard go to the Bucks.
Yeah.
And it was like, wait, this is your 1 year, this is your one of your 2-year window. And you wanted to get this guy. It looked like it made the Bucks better. So like I've been critical of their moves all around, but now I feel like you just have to run it back. I mean,
how many teams are breaking up?
Dude, I was trying to put together a list
because like Milwaukee,
all the players who like, you're like that guy's not going to be back. There's an incredible number, like the Pelicans, like Brandon Ingram. We're probably not going to mention that series. Congrats, Thunder. You stomped the Pelicans. Yes. But like in the 2 close games, Brandon Ingram was horrible. If Brandon Ingram gives you anything in games 1 and 4, the Pelicans probably win those games. Like, so you're like, Brandon Ingram, well, he's not going to be in the Pelicans next year. But there's so many of those guys.
Zion, listen, man.
Tobias Harris isn't going to be on the Sixers next year. There's just a lot of guys where you're like, you're not bringing them back. So I don't.
You know what, though? I got a guarantee for you, Keith.
What?
Bradley Beal is going to be on the Phoenix Suns next year.
What about Bradley Beal for Ben Simmons?
The
Nets
Brooklyn
just
would
need
do that?
guards. I don't know. They just need guards. Any guards.
Like, that contract, man, it's the money for Bradley Beal's production.
Yeah.
And the fact that you can't trade it.
Oh, I know.
And
I'm with you.
That's the other thing. Like, if you're Bradley Beal, okay, and let's say you're reading the tea leaves, and you just left Washington, where you were ostensibly the best player, at least on paper, for the majority of your time there. Do what you want, score 30 a game, don't play defense, play 50 games a year. We're going to stink, but you get to do that, and you get to be Bradley Beal, and you have the max contract, and we treat you like a star. He may have a chance here if Devin Booker's out and KD is out. He could do the same thing with better weather and really good golf. I think that
they're not trading Devin Booker unless Devin Booker, asks out.
Well, see, this is what I'm worried about, right? Like, you got this guy, and I would say this, like, I'm a big fan of Devin Booker. I like he got a little whiny in this series, I think, and the foul baiting stuff drives me crazy, especially when he gets into it. But I think for the most part, man, he's a good, really good player, plays both ways. He has not complained about the Suns, and he hasn't complained about like how things have been the last few years. It's not been like the smoothest couple years in that organization.
Yeah.
I mean, would it be crazy if he was just like, "Hey, I've been here long enough. I just this is getting weird." The mortgage bro ownership situation. Who I'm sure that guy is like, I wish Sarver would call me up and say, "Oh, hey, no, I want to keep the team."
Man, can we get a Robert Sarver news item in the news cycle to pop up, because that might help Ishbia. I mean, if Booker wants to go, there's been Stephen A. Smith was saying like he wants to go maybe to the Knicks or something. All right, but like otherwise, you just got to build around Booker, and I still feel like, what are you going to do? Run it back? None of their players have value. Outside of like, KD.
Booker
and like,
KD.
I think the idea of like trying to flip KD, like, will the Thunder give me a bunch of picks? Will the Warriors give me Kuminga and Wiggins and a pick? And like, all right, well, I'll probably think about that. Would the Heat give me like the old Dame trade package? I would think about that. But otherwise, I still feel like you went all in for a title. Just do it, man. Balls to the wall. Go down in a blaze of glory. Run it back with Grayson Allen. Maybe next year you can flip Grayson Allen for someone who helps you a little bit more. But like, you can't move these guys. And this is funny. So Dave, I got a Google alert this morning where someone on a Suns blog had used one of my tweets. And the Suns blog was like 7 Suns who definitely won't be back next year. And I got to tell you, Suns blog, every player you listed is 100% going to be on the Suns next year because you can't do anything with them. It was like one, Yusuf Nurkic. He's under contract. You have no picks to attach to move him. Yeah, are you gonna give away your one pick, your 2022? But you can't because the pick next year was traded. So like, yeah, Nurkic is coming back. It's like Nasir Little. Nasir Little's under contract. What are you gonna do with Nasir Little? Number 3, David Roddy. David Roddy has a guaranteed contract for next year. You can't get rid of these people. These are your players next year. Like,
and it's not like the David Roddy trade package is not really getting you.
Yeah, you're not getting anything. And like, I don't think it's that dire. Those guys can play NBA minutes.
But the lack of draft picks is going to kill them.
Oh, it's going to kill them.
That's actually the thing. They can't package
they had
the salaries.
Drew Eubanks not going to be back. Hey, he's got a player option, buddy. He's coming back. And so it's like all these guys where, I don't know. I mean, I feel like next year, if you run it back with Booker and Beal and Durant, and then Grayson Allen and Nurkic and Eubanks, and hopefully Bol comes back. Hopefully Okogie comes back. You sign some minimums. You're still going to win. Like, you should win 50 games. I mean, they won 49 games this year. Like, you're going to be okay.
Keith.
What?
Houston's going to be better.
Oh, I know.
Memphis is going to be better.
Houston won't be better than the Suns next year if the Suns run it back.
No.
That's
they
my
are going to be
take.
A better team.
Yeah.
Right. San Antonio is going to be better.
San Antonio drafted the most transformational, generational, all-time great player and won the same number of games.
Yeah. Well,
I'm just pointing that out.
Now, come on. Now that was.
I don't know what that means,
that
Dave.
Does stuff on purpose, man.
Did Pop get any Coach of the Year votes this year?
No. I'm just saying. Look. If I'm them, I'm reading the tea leaves. I'm like, wow, the West was tough. It's going to be harder next year.
Do you know how many 3-pointers Kevin Durant made in the series?
Oh man, he only shot like 20 or something, right?
He shot 12.
He took okay.
And he
took
made 5.
3 in the last game. And again, this was like what I'm talking about. They played right into what Minnesota is great at. Yeah. Minnesota just said, "You're not scoring around the basket, and we are running you off the 3-point line. We're going to make it hard." And they were like, okay. And then they didn't hit shots, but also those were contested mid-rangers. They were not getting good looks at all. But the Timberwolves have done this all year. This is why I just felt like the Suns. KD started to look a little old, I would say, in this. Over the course of this season, but especially in this series, he looked like the old man out there.
His stats are still beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And he still gets to those, obviously he can rise up over anybody and make those mid-rangers. But like, I felt sad about it because like, I don't love the whole 3-point revolution aesthetically that much. I'm saying, usually it's too many threes. Although I'll say the weekend, Dave, teams quit shooting 3-pointers. I loved it. You had all these teams winning with single-digit made threes. But, like, you saw the math problem. And even the Timberwolves don't shoot a ton of threes. The math problem for the Suns was the Timberwolves kept getting more shots. They kept getting all the rebounds. But you just saw with the Suns where it's like they're shooting these contested 2-pointers, and that's just not going to work. You're not going to end up with enough points.
Keith, can the Grizzlies trade for KD?
They could feasibly. They could piece together the salaries. There's I believe, Ja Morant liked a tweet where he tweeted like easy money a couple years ago when KD was on the Nets looking to move. They could package the money and still keep the big three without much of an issue. Throw a Conchar, a Zaire, a Marcus Smart. Opt into Luke Kennard. Yeah, they can make it happen.
Marcus Smart's the big trade piece for the Grizzlies this summer, right?
I have a whole show called Grits and Grinds where I keep talking about that.
Andrew Wiggins is probably
so KD made 5 threes in this series. I saw a bunch of Sixers fans. The Sixers fans are perpetually mad at Tobias, who is perpetually underwhelming. Like, that's fair. Tobias has made 3 threes in his entire series, which, by the way, is more than Brandon Ingram made in the whole first round. Brandon Ingram made 2 3-pointers. Have they all colluded to be like, listen, I'm tired of shooting threes. They can't make us big guys shoot threes anymore. I'm going to play the beautiful game. I'm going to go shoot in a midi. Dave, let's take a break and then let's come back. And let's talk about my favorite award, the least clutch player award. All right, Dave. So some of these awards have been creeping out. I don't have big opinions about most of them. Let's run through them quickly. Tell me if you have an opinion. 6th man of the year, Naz Reid. What are your thoughts?
Sure.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
I guess I don't know. Man.
I mean, like,
I might be the least awards interested NBA commentator guy.
No, that's why you're here. You and I not very passionate about any of these awards.
Any of them, except for MVP. But even that, it's like, I don't know. I just need that award. I need the awards to tell the story of the season. And Naz Reid is as good of a story as you're gonna get. Like, I mean, I think he's a great story, right? Like, as a 6th man who started a bunch of games because he had to,
I adore Naz Reid.
He's great.
I would pay $100 easy for one of those Naz Reid beach towels. But like, also he doesn't, for whatever reason, he doesn't strike me as what I think of as a 6th man of the year. Or it's like, he doesn't close games. And it isn't, there aren't that many Timberwolves games. Maybe there are where you're like, maybe I'm contradicting myself, but I don't feel like a lot. You're watching the Timberwolves. You're like, oh, we got to finish this game with Naz out there. They go to other players usually. And like, I don't know. If I had a ballot, I think I would have gone Malik Monk. I feel like Malik Monk got robbed just by getting hurt. And that doesn't seem right. Like,
it does seem like the last 2-3 weeks of the season.
Yeah, why does that matter?
Really matters.
Yeah, and like, so I probably would have gone Malik Monk. I also subjectively like the guys who just aren't that good. Like, I don't like it when like Iguodala won it. We're like, well, Iguodala's a near all-star level player playing behind superstars. Same thing with Manu. Manu was weirder because Manu had never had like a bigger role. So that was always kind of weird. But he also
was weird because Manu could have been the best player in the league and was coming up.
Manu's a top 15 player in the league right now. Yeah. That's kind of weird. Yeah. Like, I feel like I would have gone for like a Norm Powell. Like, that guy's not that good, but he's a specifically tailored 6th man.
I think Norm Powell is actually incredibly good.
Well, again, relative to other players.
If he's your starter, that's bad.
Exactly. So, like, I probably would have gone with, like, Monk or Norm Powell. Then maybe Naz. Then, I don't know. Then maybe, like, Bogdanovich. I don't know. Bobby Portis, get out of here. He finished 3rd. Most improved player, Dave. This went to Tyrese Maxey. What are your thoughts?
I hate this. I hate this award. I hate this award. Tyrese Maxey was the best shooter in his draft class. Okay. He he's too young to have improved in any way outside of more minutes and just natural progression. Why can't this be an award that's a veteran award? Most improved should be player who's been in the league for 5 seasons or more, who makes some sort of a jump at that point.
Oh, I like that. That's fun.
I don't like this thing where it's like second, third year player. Like, Kobe White.
I want guys on their second year contract, on their second contract at least.
Yes, that's what I need. Like, give me a story of a guy who's found a role where he maybe didn't have one, right? Like, I mean, a guy who's been a backup for his whole career who becomes a starter and figures it out. I mean, to me, this could be like the Danny Green Award.
Yeah.
And legitimately, like, the reason I love the Danny Green story is because when you look at his path to becoming a champion, like, he was not like on the path to championship starter when he got in the NBA. He got cut. He played in the G League. He had to come back and do all this stuff. And I think that that's a much more, because these awards are supposed to be narrative. That's the whole thing about them. Why not lean into that? Make it it's a veteran award, at least 4 years of service or whatever you want to do. Like, if a guy leaves, it has to, like let's say the guy goes to Europe and fights his way back to the NBA.
Yeah.
That's what we need.
So,
right? Like,
what if they renamed it I Thought This Guy Was Sorry Award? Because
sorry,
this is
I was not familiar with your game. Yeah.
This is all subjective, of course. Like, Tyrese Maxey, totally deserving winner. He's amazing.
Yeah.
Just subjectively, I like the different stories. I like Tyrese Maxey came into this year and we knew his next contract was going to be for $200 million.
Right.
Like, we knew that before the season started. This is like Ja Morant won Most Improved Player. We knew Ja Morant was a superstar going into the year that he won Most Improved Player. Now,
I thought Giannis should have won Most Improved the year he won his first MVP.
So I'm fine with that, because Giannis, he didn't even sign a max contract, right?
Right.
Like, on that. So I might have gone Kobe White just because, like, he finished second and it was a very close thing. Kobe was a guy I didn't know he was any good. He signed a deal where it was like, oh, I guess why not give him 3 years, 36? Yeah, I don't know.
Dude, that's now a Steph Curry like contract for a team that has no idea what to do with it.
Yeah. All right, then Dave, the Clutch Player of the Year award, which is I've said this since the award was announced. This is the stupidest thing ever. It is.
I don't really understand what
it's totally
criteria.
Arbitrary,
because, like, you could look at numbers and you could come up with a metric.
You can come up with whatever narrative. Like, it made more sense last year because, like, luckily, like, De'Aaron Fox had a bunch of game winners. This year, Steph Curry won because he ended up with the most points of any player in clutch time. Of course, not everyone plays the same amount of clutch minutes. The NBA defines clutch minutes: last 5 minutes of a game, score within 5. The Warriors played a ton of close games, so Curry played the most clutch minutes, thus he scored the most clutch points.
Best clutch player in the league is Nikola Jokic.
It's still Nikola Jokic. He had unbelievable clutch stats. I actually was looking this up. If I had to pick a clutch player of the year, Dave, Kyrie Irving this year. The Mavs were 16-4 in clutch games when he played. He had a 72% true shooting in all his clutch shot attempts, which is outrageous, higher than Steph Curry's.
He's been like this, by the way, for a few years now. Like, I mean, he is right up there with Jokic as far as crunch time.
But, and also Kyrie had a net rating in the clutch this season of +31. So, whatever. The clutch award is stupid. The only thing dumber is the hustle award. Maybe this is more dumb than the hustle award. By the way, hustle award is dropping later this week, I believe, if they keep the same release schedule as last season.
It's going to be Josh Hart, right?
Not unless he hits these arbitrary, stupid hustle page stats. Anyways.
It's going to be the entire New York Knicks guard rotation.
Dave, more important to me than the clutch award is my own least clutch player of the year award. I'm taking the same arbitrary stats the NBA uses to name their clutch player of the year, and I'd like to recognize some of the least clutch players. I like to dial it down even tighter. They do final 5 minutes, score within 5. I like to look at final 3 minutes, score within 3. I call those super clutch numbers. But, Dave, there are a lot of incredible least clutch player of the year.
Any Hall of Famers?
Award nominees. There are. So here's the thing. This is one, this points out how random and arbitrary this award is. There are lots of guys you would think of as being incredibly clutch who have bad shooting numbers. Of course, it's a small sample size. That's a big part of it. You can also bake in, maybe these shots are more under duress. You're having to shoot some heaves in this. So like, I didn't look at each shot to like wean out.
I was assuming that you did.
There was four guys on Jimmy Butler here, but like some guys who have surprisingly, in my mind, surprisingly terrible clutch stats this season, like Kevin Durant. He only shot 33% in super clutch situations this year. Tyrese Maxey, 35% in clutch. Jason Tatum, 36% in clutch, including 31% in super clutch. Jimmy Butler, 28% in super clutch. Jalen Brunson this year, 6 of 27 on clutch threes. Anthony Edwards, 7 of 23 on clutch threes. Devin Booker.
Wait. Yeah. With Brunson and Edwards, how many of those were offensive rebounded?
Oh, I don't know.
Part of their game plan. Get the shot up.
Devin Booker was only 4 for 22 on clutch threes. So there's a lot of bad clutch shooting, but there are a few guys who really pop. And like, I'm pointing out those guys because those are good players. Those are universally accepted as good players who have done a very bad job. And they're actually amongst these other players who actually, by the way, we know are bad. And so here, I've narrowed it down, Dave. Here are, I'm gonna recognize.
Can't wait to hear the music for this. But.
Oh man, I got to get some award music going.
Some fanfare,
some copyright free. I'm gonna do this with an honorable mention, and then the kind of International Stackhouse Pancake style. Some honorable mentions, and then maybe 3 nominees. Honorable mention: Cam Thomas. He in clutch situations for the Nets. By the way, the Nets were 8 and 16 in clutch games. Cam Thomas was 13 of 47. That's 25%. He made 3 of 23 3-pointers.
How many minutes?
I don't have the minutes pulled up.
Okay.
I have it pulled up for some of these guys. I mean, maybe that should be a full nominee. I mean, but it's still notable. Darius Garland might be the best player who I get mentioned here. Darius Garland this year was 7 for 23 from the field in super clutch situations, so under 30%, 13 for 45 overall. He was, however, money from the foul line, 14 for 15, so maybe we give him a pass there. I would like to recognize Klay Thompson as a nominee. This year, clutch field goal percent under 30% for Klay Thompson.
He had a rough season. The 0 for 10 is a tough way to go out.
The least clutch team, there were 2. It was the Wizards and the Pistons. So it's going to be hard to lay the blame squarely on one person, but I'm going to try. I have to mention Kyle Kuzma, who had a 36% usage in clutch situations and had a 41% effective field goal percentage in those situations. But to my eye, not as bad as 2 of his teammates. Our first nominee for the least clutch player this year, Jordan Poole, who honestly, strong case for the least valuable player in the NBA this year.
Oh my God. Or if you're trying to tank.
Or if you're trying to tank, he understands the
Did we talk about this before the season?
What?
I said Jordan Poole could potentially lead the league in scoring on the worst team in the league.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people thought.
I was thinking, hey, Jordan Poole, your time to shine. Go do goofy stuff, score a bunch, shoot a bunch. And then there was that whole stretch where he was like oddly like scared to shoot. He's a bad player. And he almost won most improved. Maybe on this most improved, we need to give it out as like, this is like a temporary award and we take it back if you start to suck again.
Oh, I like that.
Right. So we want to make sure you're not a fluke.
Yeah.
He's a one-hit wonder.
Jordan Poole played in 33 clutch games this year. The Wizards were 8 and 25 in those games. Jordan Poole in clutch time, he shot 25% from the field and made 21% of his 3-pointers. So that is very horrible. If we narrow it down to super clutch, he was 2 for 13 from the field in super clutch situations. Final 3 minutes, game within 3. His teammate, Tyus Jones. This hurts me. This hurts me to my soul right now. Tyus Jones played in 25 clutch games for the Wizards. The Wizards were 4 and 21. Tyus shot 28% from the field in these clutch minutes. Of every player in the NBA this year to play in at least 20 clutch situations, that's 162 players, Tyus had the worst net rating. He was outscored by 53 points per 100 possessions in clutch minutes. The only thing saving Tyus in super clutch situations, he was a apocalyptic 3 out of 9. 33%. not the worst. All right. So
by the way, I looked at Jordan Poole's contract. He's going to make more millions in dollars next year than he shot percentage from three.
Man,
situations.
The Wizards hitting a grand slam with the Bradley Beal trade and then bringing in Jordan Poole will never not be hilarious. And finally, Dave, Cade Cunningham of the Detroit Pistons. Cade Cunningham, in games that were within 3 points in the final 3 minutes, the Pistons went 2-15 in the 17 games where they actually got it within 3. 2-15 in close games. In those situations, Cade was 4 for 21 from the field. He missed all 7 of his field goal attempts. This is 37 total minutes, Dave. I'm going to tell you something right now. 37 total minutes stretched over 17 games. The Pistons were outscored in those 37 minutes by 68 points. In those
that doesn't feel possible.
It doesn't feel possible, Dave. In those 37 minutes, Cade had 2 assists, 4 turnovers, and shot 19% from the field. And they were outscored by 68. So I think, Dave, Jordan Poole has a strong argument. Tyus Jones.
How was Cade Cunningham the rest of the time?
They were 4 for 21. If you open it up to the final 5 minutes within 5, not as gross, but still horrible. We're talking mid 30s field goal percentage.
And to be fair to these guys, they do play with worse teammates than them.
It's true. Bilal Coulibaly's clutch stats are horrible.
Yeah, Jordan Poole.
Denny Avdia shot a terrible percentage in the clutch.
Yeah. Tyus and Jordan Poole probably helped each other quite a bit. Maybe it's a co-winner.
Honestly, it could be a co-winner, but Cade's
kind of on a
Cade getting outscored by 68 points at 37 minutes, shooting 19% and having 2
He's
assists.
He's going to ditch alone.
I think Cade Cunningham is this year's least clutch player of the year. Although, we're talking neck and neck with Jordan Poole and Tyus Jones. I think if you gave all 3 a co-award, they would be deserving. So
pretty amazing.
This year's least clutch players. Dave, before we get out of here, we should at least acknowledge that the Clippers and Mavericks, that series is 2-2. I have no idea what's going to happen. The Clippers were up by 31 and then blew the lead, then got up by 11 and blew the lead. And James Harden took over down the stretch. Paul George hit the nastiest corner 3-pointer imaginable.
After that crazy Kyrie layup. I don't even know
how he's playing incredibly well.
And Luka looks weird, but the Mavs are winning all his minutes. So the big run in game 4, people are like, what's wrong with Luka? I agree. Something looks wrong. 1 for 9 from 3 is not, he's been lights out. I think whatever happened with his knee is obvious, is clearly causing him some problems, but their problems are what happens when he's not out there. In this game the other day, he's plus 10 in 45 minutes. Kyrie is -5 in 45 minutes. There was a 3-minute stretch where they basically got outscored by 15 points in the second quarter, I think. This is the issue. The NBA is all about consecutive stops. And the Mavs have struggled, I think, in the games that they've lost to get that on the Clippers.
Watching these games, I'm about to deliver the worst analysis possible. Watching these games of Mavericks Clippers, because I'm so just interested in this series. I can't assign a rhyme or reason to anything good or bad that happens based on the Mavericks lineups. I know everyone's picking on, they should have put one of their bigs back in because Harden was driving over and over and over. But it was I don't know. It was 4 possessions in a row. You're just going to sub in after 2. You think maybe after 2, all right, we'll stop him on the third one. But as far as the on off with Luka, sometimes the Clippers look amazing for 6 minutes, and it just so happens Luka's on the bench. I can't assign blame yet to whether like it feels more all about whether or not the randomness of the Clippers being incredible for 4 minutes or being horrible for 6 minutes. And they just trade that off. And so like, again, I preface that by saying that's the worst analysis possible. I'm telling you, I have no idea what's happening when I see what's going on in this series. The Clippers get on fire for a while. I do feel like they're better without hurt Kawhi. I like that seems apparent after a couple of games, but beyond that,
I mean, I had this idea. So, they won game 1 handily, and then they lost game 2 with Kawhi. And we talked about it on Nerder. And my thinking was like, well, maybe they should have brought him off the bench. They've been playing for a month without him. They obviously they had a really good game. They had played a little better down the stretch, I think, than people would give them credit for. And you had something going for a team that has done this year after year after year with no chemistry in the playoffs. And immediately they throw Kawhi out there and things got clunky. And I actually think you could have just brought him off the bench with Russ, and it would have, all you need him to do is go out there and tread water, right? Keep our head above water while PG and James Harden are getting some rest, play them together here and there, and hopefully he can play in crunch time with everybody. But they just, I think the pecking order is a little bit more clear for them without Kawhi. And James Harden, I don't know. Is he going to be able to do this 2 games in a row? We've yet to see it in the playoffs. So
I have no idea.
Good series, though.
It's a great series. I'm just going to enjoy watching it, and I'm not going to try to figure out why the things are happening on the court. And then we blew past it, but like Magic Cavs, honestly, I am more riveted by this series than maybe anything else going on. The Cavaliers got humiliated in consecutive games in Orlando. Orlando ran off, I don't know what the final stats on that run were. I think it was 47-13 run in the second half. And like the Cavs now in their last 4 road games, of course, going back to last year, the last 4 playoff road games, that is, going back to last year against the Knicks, they haven't scored 93 points, more than 93 points in any of them. They've been sub 90 in 3 of them. Like, this is the worst run of road offense in the playoffs since 2017. And like, they can't score. And maybe it's just going to be all home teams win. And it's like Cavs in 7. But speaking of like coaches getting fired, I mean, I feel like Bickerstaff's going into that portal. And I don't know what the Cavs
else can he do though?
Exactly. I don't know, man.
Evan Mobley was supposed to be the guy.
Yeah.
And he's not. I don't think it's going to happen.
Well, Garland looks bad. Honorable outside the honorable mentions of the least clutch player this year. Garland just had a tough year, and he cannot. I don't know. I don't know what to make of it. Like, Strus not hitting threes is not shocking. The guy's just not. Right. His career stats, more often than not, he doesn't make the 3-pointers, and so I don't know, man. I mean, this is a tough situation for the Cavs.
I don't want to do the thing where it's like, it doesn't matter because the Celtics going to be waiting for them.
Right.
Doesn't matter. They're going to get sent on vacation. One of these teams, and I would say Orlando, man, like that's a really fascinating team. Because I think they're early to the playoffs, right? And they're there on defense, which is crazy for a young team. Man, that Bradley Beal should be trying to get to Orlando. There's no income tax. It's sunny, good weather.
But that property tax will get you.
I know.
No, that series is interesting and also rightfully banned to NBA TV. I mean, they're going to play a Game 7 on NBA TV. I think they're not even going to upgrade them that for a possible Game 7. Anyways, Dave, let's end it with the award segment of the program, the International Stackhouse of Pancakes Award, given each week to the worst performance in a box score. A few honorable mentions: Russell Westbrook 0 for 7. I feel like he could have been 6th man of the year. Porzingis 1 for 9. Aaron Nesmith 3 for 13. Tyler Hero 5 for 16. CJ McCollum 7 for 22. Our 3 nominees this week for the worst shooting performance. Damian Lillard. Granted, he was injured, but of course that's not in the box score. In the overtime loss, he was 6 for 20. He did get 28 points 8 assists, 1 rebound, 3 steals, 2 turnovers, 2 personal fouls. Luka in the game 3 victory was 7 for 25, 22 points, 10 rebounds, 9 assists, 2 steals, 5 turnovers, 2 personal fouls. And then Brandon Ingram getting swept sad by the dominant Oklahoma City Thunder. He was 2 for 14 in that game 4, 8 points, 4 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks, 2 turnovers, 3 personal fouls. I feel like not Dame. What do you think? I mean,
I think it's got to be Ingram.
Yeah, Ingram.
Elimination game, man, and you're the guy, right?
No Zion, you're supposed to be the guy for this.
Yeah.
We saw FIBA, Brandon Ingram, not great. Congratulations, Brandon Ingram, winning this week's International Stackhouse of Pancakes
this summer
award.
Listen, the more we talk about these teams that are just getting eliminated, the crazier this summer feels like it's going to be. I mean, with the Pelicans, I think they have a Brandon Ingram decision. They got a Valanciunas decision. They got a CJ McCollum decision. There's a lot
you
for every team.
You keep Herb and Trey, and then I don't know what
Zion,
you do.
And Alvarado.
Oh, did I forget to mention Zion? That's obviously a mistake by me. Whoops.
And Larry Nance. And Alvarado.
There's so many teams with players where I just don't know what you do.
Right.
Like, what do you do if you're the Clippers with Kawhi Leonard? What do you do with the Pelicans?
He just signed an extension.
Williamson. There's so many guys like you feel like you can't even, like, I don't know, like even the Bucks, like you sort of jokingly alluded to it earlier, like the Bucks with Damian Lillard. And there's just, there's so many teams. Where's Julius Randle playing next year? I mean, there's so many guys like that where it's like, what do you do if you're the Sixers with Joel Embiid? Like if Joel Embiid goes 6 for 20 tonight, I mean, what do you do? And obviously he's got health issues.
Will LeBron go to San Antonio? Would he do that?
No. LeBron wouldn't share the stage like that.
Is Phoenix willing to draft Bronny James?
Maybe.
They need a point guard.
The Thunder, apologies for not mentioning them. Just ripped apart the Pelicans.
Professional basketball team.
Yeah, ripped apart the Pelicans, looked absolutely dominant. So they advance and await the winner of Mavs Clippers. I mean, nothing else I think you could have asked for from the Thunder. They found themselves in close games and twice just shut the water off for the Pelicans. Pelicans could not score.
Thunder and Wolves right now are the two teams to trust the most, I think, through the first round, right? Like,
that's what I was going to say.
Now, I don't think we've seen them tested.
Yeah.
Right. But what we've seen is, hey, their identity, they're sticking to it, and it's working out for them. I mean, I think, especially when you look at the Thunder and the worry about them being able to, like, we're going to get out rebounded. How are we going to defend the paint? And Chet Holmgren is a monster. Yeah. The high motor works for him, right? Like, and Valanciunas was giving him everything he had. I'd actually love to hear what Valanciunas has to say about Holmgren after they played a series, because I feel like for a rookie to go up against a guy like Valanciunas, who's that big, that tough, that experienced, and to be able to not just hold up, but I think he outplayed him by quite a large margin. I'd be curious to see what Valanciunas has to say about that. So yeah, those two teams to me are just, I don't have any questions right now. I need to see them pressed, but man, if that's the conference finals, not shocking.
It really could be. And I feel like based on the regular season performance, you say not shocking, but like I find it a little shocking just with the untested nature of each one of those rosters. The Timberwolves looked amazing, of course, dominating the Suns. The Nuggets did not look good. Of course, trailed at halftime against the Lakers, and you got to give Darvin Ham credit there. Sorry. But you give the Lakers credit, like they gave the Nuggets a handful. Jamal Murray saved them twice. So you have the Nuggets, who looked not good, against the Timberwolves, who looked amazing. Last thing, what's your prediction for that series?
I think I'm saying Nuggets in 6.
Okay.
But man, if the Wolves won it in 6, it wouldn't shock me. This is one that on paper, like, I need to see it in game 1. Obviously, I'll have more information then. But on paper, you look and you say Minnesota is deeper. They have people who can guard Jamal Murray. Gobert can, like, theoretically, they can throw multiple bodies at Jokic. What we've seen from them as a team defense, I think, is been impeccable. And then their offense, we know that they have the ability to explode.
I mean, they're going to put. They have Jaden McDaniels and Ant that can just be all over Jamal. And Jamal, it's hilarious to say he looked limited in Game 5 because of his massive performance, including the game winner. But he looked limited. He looked, to my eye, looked like he was going at 70% for most of the game. And he had some moments where he pulled up, and you're like, oh no, did he re-aggravate his leg? And to have to do that against Ant, who I've seen Ant go at Ja Morant and give Ja Morant problems. And I've seen and of course, Jaden McDaniels can guard anybody. And they match up defensively so well. And then it comes down to we go back to the clutch issue, the half-court scoring issue, where the huge edge is to the Nuggets. I'm a prisoner of the moment, and I feel like I lean Timberwolves right now. I was so wrong about how they would perform against the Suns, and now I'm like, well, they crushed them. And the Nuggets did not impress me once.
It's much more of a toss-up to me than it was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
It actually started for me with the Nuggets when they dropped that game to the Spurs.
You're still holding that against them.
I am. No, I am. Because it was a mental lapse for them. And this is a team that they didn't do that last season, right? And this year, I didn't think they had a lot of that. And they were rounding into form, pushing into the playoffs. I do think that dropping the 1 seed, losing that game in particular, like that, I'm going to hold that in my memory. And if they lose this series, I'll bring it up because I do think that was weird. Like I put a pin in that game. And the ability to flip the switch is important. And the Nuggets clearly have that. I mean, they do. The 2-man game with Jokic and Murray is unguardable as of yet. I just think that of the teams that they're going to run into, this is the one that's suited to guard it. And it could be too early for Anthony Edwards. That could be something that comes up in this series, but I don't think so. So I don't know. I do think that this is for the title.
You think so?
Yeah.
That's yeah.
I think this series is for the title.
You might be right. I mean, I feel like the Timberwolves have so many options to try to slow down that as yet unstoppable 2-man game. Can Michael Porter Jr. keep this tear he was on? I mean, Michael Porter Jr., was absolutely outrageous against the Lakers every game. So yeah, a lot to look forward to. And of course, I
would bet on Michael Porter for that.
It's been a great series. A great playoff so far, honestly, where there's so many interesting things in every series except for Pacers Bucks. And honestly, it could be.
Well,
I don't trust the Pacers at all. So who knows? Yeah.
It's a train wreck.
Heat Celtics, which we purposely did not mention the entire episode.
We all went into the Pacers Bucks series assuming that the Pacers had a coaching advantage. When has Rick Carlisle won? When was the last time he won a series?
2012.
2012?
Yep. Well, anyways, Dave, thanks for coming on as always. Always a pleasure talking basketball with you. If you guys want to support this program, do that at patreon.com/Fastbreak Breakfast. I'll have a bonus episode out for you later this week. April's bonus episode will come out early in May, which is pretty typical for the bonus episodes. Anyways, thanks everybody for the support. Thanks for listening. You guys are the best. And remember, breakfast is the most important thing.
Yeah, never apologize for being G&G. Fastbreak break, man. You understand?
I will remember.